Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So for this week's decoration I'm going to be doing a summer Christmas kind of theme using some Lawn Fawn products. So let's go ahead and get to it. Alright, let me start off today's video by saying very Merry Christmas to everybody out there who is watching. I hope that this brings a little bit of happiness to your day, whether you're having half an hour to yourself to watch this while hiding from the kids, whether you're on your own, whatever. I hope that this brings a bit of a smile to your face. But I hope you're having a very, very Merry Christmas. And yeah, so I know that today's Christmas. Christmas is not going to fall in this week whatsoever. But I'm going to do a Christmas theme anyway. But I'm going to do it as a summer Christmas theme. Now, what I need you guys to do when watching this one is to just use your imagination just a little bit. Because I'm going to push a couple of logic boundaries along the way. It'll make sense when I actually get to doing it. So I'm just starting off by taking off my New Year's Eve and my New Year's Day stickers. And then I'm just going to I'm going to let that dry. So what I've got in front of me here is a bunch of Lawn Fawn images. Now what my idea here is that it's Christmas Day in Australia and we're on the beach, which is where we generally tend to spend Christmas if we can. So I've got some stuff from Summer Christmas, Beachy Christmas, sorry, not Summer Christmas. Thank goodness they brought that one out. So I've got a bunch of images there. But this side's going to sort of be my beach. And this side's going to be actually kind of under the water because I like the idea of having an over the water, under the water kind of look at Christmas. So it's going to be all sky at the top, and then it's going to be a bit of under the sea and then beach over the side. So to do that, I'm going to start off with doing some clouds. The first thing I'm going to do that's probably a little bit different than normal is I am going to leave all of the days in. They're not... I'm away on holidays at the moment. My planner is not required in the same way it normally is. So I can have a bit of fun with this because there's no requirement for any kind of writing of things. There is a little bit because we are going diving on Thursday. But not as much as normal. So I can kind of get away with just going over and then just adding things in if I need to. So I'm just going to put a little bit of cloud stuff on the top of both of the days. So I'm just using Distress Oxide for this and my blending brush. This is Tumble Glass and I'm being pretty, oh look, green. I love when I get a little bit of funny colour on it. It makes me happy. And I'm just being reasonably light-handed. I'm not stressing out at all if I miss or if I got too much in one spot and not enough in the other. We're designing it to be a bit more chilled out. So that's the plan here. So I think I'll go just to the sort of bottom of Monday, and that's my sky, and then I can start on my sand. So like that moved a little bit. That doesn't bother me. So I'll go two more. Actually, we'll just go one more, and then my sand will start below there. And I can come back and put some more on. I'm just going to really quickly sort of but find where my patterns were and just kind of try and keep them going across the other side. So it doesn't have to be completely perfect, but just want to line them up a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and I'll be right back. Alright, so I've got my clouds. That was all using Tumble Glass. I'm not putting any of them away yet because of course I'll do splatters and speckles and all the things, but I'll do that last just to make sure I try and get most of this done. So then I'm going to do sort of like a sandy wavy hillside. No, that's sort of like, it's more of an ocean wave. Let's not do that. I was thinking to do like a like a really hilly kind of thing, but I might just stick with a simple kind of hillside here. So I'm just going to tack this one down with some washi, and that's just because I've got to have it there for a little bit longer. So I'm just going to pop that there. Whoops. Alright, so for the sand, I'm going to be using antique linen, and then I'm going to bring in some tea dye and some vintage photo. So I want that really sandy white beach look that we do get here in Australia. So this is going to be, the whole thing's going to be this colour. The good thing is, once I've sort of got this first bit down, I can keep going without having to worry too much about the mask anymore. I'm going to come up from the bottom. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink this up. I'm just trying not to get it everywhere because I don't want it to ruin my elves on the back, because I did really love my elves. So I'm putting the first colour down, and then as I line this up and get everything in the right spot, I might add in some extra hills and things, but we'll see how we go. The good thing is with sand, you don't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be smooth. It doesn't need to be perfect. I know I just said perfect twice. It doesn't need to be well blended or anything. It can have these funny shadows because it just adds to the texture, which is what I love about sand. Doesn't that just look like the most beautiful sandy beach? And then for the other side, I'm going to do the exact same thing, but instead of having sand, I'm going to have like waves. So this is where, I mean, you've got to use your imagination just a little bit, because I'm aware that, you know, it doesn't quite look like this in real life. But yeah, a little bit of imagination. To do the exact same thing, I'm actually going to go backwards this time. I'm going to blend that one, so this one. I'm going to blend up, so I'm going to use Uncharted Mariner at the bottom, Salty Ocean, and then a bit of Salvage Patina. I'm kind of trying to do it like tropical water because that's where I'm going. That's what I'm going to be swimming in. So that's sort of what my idea is. So it's pretty much going to be 1, 2, and 3. And I love Uncharted Mariner. It is a beautiful colour. I just need to hope that I can get it to blend, because I do struggle, not because of and the good thing is I can go mental here because I'm not using that back page. I still struggle a little bit with my blue brush. I think it's just because it gets used more than anything else. It does have a lot of ink on it. So it just doesn't give me the beautiful blend that some of my other brushes do. Actually, just for the sake of this, and because I want it to be right, I'm grabbing this one. This is a Hero Arts one that is beautiful, and I'm going to use it for my blue, just to see, I'm just looking at the difference there, and you can see how much nicer. And it's nothing to do with the quality of the brush. It's not the brush, it's how often I've used it, and what I should have done, or how I should have cleaned them, or whatever. So I'm going to blend that up from Uncharted Mariner into Salty Ocean, which kind of feels like a big jump, but it'll blend. And then we'll come up into Salvage Patina, which will feel like the bigger jump, but it'll work. Oh, I love that blend. Oh, that looks so yummy. And then once I've sort of got to near the top. This is where I'm going to bring those waves in. I'm just jumping that there. Grab some tape. Biggest thing I'm worried about here is if it moves too much. So for that reason, I'm just also going to tape down that as well. Should mean it moves around a little bit less. Now these bits here that are popping up, that's because that's where we had the undo. Sometimes it does leave a residue, sometimes it doesn't. I don't mind. It looks like bubbles to me. So I think that actually looks really cool. And I'm just smoothing this out a little bit. Where'd that bit of paper go? Maybe just come in with a little bit more salty ocean in the middle. And then it lightens up. Now that bit at the bottom there's probably a little dark. I'm just going to, you know, again use my imagination and pretend it's a, it's just a deep, deep spot in the ocean. Alright, and then lastly before I start doing some splatters, because I want to do splatters. That's alright, that'll be fun. And I'm just going to wipe this up. Because I just want to add a little bit more cloud just to the very bottom. So I'm going to grab that mask bit and hold that down and then come in with just a little bit more of the tumble glass. Oh no! Wrong brush. Alright, that's okay. It's okay. I'll either cover it up or, you know, I'll make something of it. Don't worry. I'm just going to do this. Actually, I'm not going to do the same thing on the other side. I will for just the cloud bit, but I don't need to add any more clouds. I'll just add the blue so that it doesn't. There it is. So tip number 1, always check your brush before you do stuff. It's all good. It'll be fine. So we need water across both. That'll give us sort of little splatters. I'm just going to do this side first because I want to get that blue up. And I'll come in with another bit for this side. Now, I did pull up a little bit before, a little bit of paper, so I'm just going to put some glue tape down and try and put that back in the right spot. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll just mean it's not going to lose any more. I'm just putting a little bit more water on that. That's getting better. Okay, I'm going to leave that one off to the side to dry for a minute. We're going to work on this one. So for the bottom, sorry, for the top, we'll do that first. I'm just going to cover that up and then cover this up. And I'm just going to put a little bit of tumbled glass splatter on the top. And I'm actually going to also bring in just a little bit of broken china. I just want a little bit more blue for some splatters, and I like the idea of having 2 splatter shades. And then I'm just going to put that just at the top there. It'll just sit there, it won't squish too much, it'll keep most of it not too bad. And then I'm going to come in with a little bit of tea dye and a little bit of vintage photo and a little bit of Copic opaque white for my sand. Clean that up a little bit first. I'll start with the tea dye. So antique linen would work if we just sort of did a little bit more, but I want a little bit more grainy sand. This is why I'm going to use a little bit of the vintage photo as well. Part of me really wants to put just a couple of spots of ink on here as well, but we'll do the white first. Now that white's not showing up quite like I want it to. Might have watered it down a bit much. Because I can, I'm just going to add just a couple of drops, or just a drop, This is Gathered Twigs Distress ink. And it's very concentrated, which means it's going to show up a lot darker than some of the other bits there. Alright, I'm going to leave the sand at that. There's a couple of really big ones I can get off later. So I'm going to clean all this up and then we'll go ahead and do the other side. So I've got this side now. Now there is a little bit of bending happening. That's okay. It'll even itself out once we once it gets into the planner, so I'm not worried about that. So I'm going to do the exact same thing with the broken china and the tumbled glass at the top, and then we're going to add splatters of probably, I don't know actually, let's do this first and then decide. Try and stick with the dark at the bottom, Salvage Pretender at the top, and the Ocean in the middle. What I've seen before, I was using a piece of paper to kind of help me hold on to things. So I might just use this a little bit. I know I said I wasn't going to worry about it, but I just changed my mind. It's not going to be as noticeable. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to add a little bit of shimmer on this side. Just because, you know, it's water and water glistens. That's what it does. I'm going to do two things on this side. So first thing I'm going to do is just clean that brush off, because I'm going to make some white. So I'm coming in with the white gold paint here. So it'll give me the shimmer. And then I'm just going to, on the edge of the water, just going to try and just follow that along. I'm trying to stay thin, but I don't think I'm doing a very good job. The sort of top of the waterline. That's sort of what I was trying for anyway. Alright, I'm going to tidy all this up. I'm going to hit everything with the heat tool just so that it sort of is a little bit more permanently dry. And then we can go ahead and start putting everything together. Alright, I've given that a couple of minutes just underneath my mat there to flatten out a little bit. Alright, let's have a look at some of these images and you guys can tell me how crazy I am. So I've got some images here. I'll see if I can name them as I put them out. So I've got Snowball Fight, Christmas Fishes, Beachy Christmas, You Are Sublime, Ahoy Matey, Beachy Christmas, On the Beach, Ho Ho Holidays, and then these ones are all kind of the oceany kind of ones. More from Snowball Fight. And what I've tried to do, is I'm kind of turning the Snowball Fight into a sandball fight. So that's a little difficult, I know, to kind of get your head around, because we don't actually throw sand at each other. We try not to. But I loved the snowball. I thought it was really cute, like that stamp set. So I thought, well, I want to use it, but I don't really know how. So I thought, well, how would I do things in Australia? And that's what I thought. I thought, okay, well, let's have a sandball fight. I also have a sand mouse, which is like a snowman, but it's a sand mouse. It's just a sand one. So you kind of get the gist of what I'm doing here. I have my couple of guys having fights. I've turned their hats, where I could, I've turned their hats into like hats, so brimmed hats. So that they look like, they're Australian and they're in the sun, and that's sort of going to work. So let's go with that. I just realised I forgot to carry that guy's sand in, so I just did that. So they're kind of evenly spaced on both sides, and then I've got a bunch of accessories that I can add in if I want to along the way. So the part that I'm actually more worried about is the ocean bottom, because I forgot to put sand in, so yeah, that's a problem. Alright, so let's start with the sandball fight. I'm kind of ignoring, actually no, I'm not going to ignore where the days are. I'm just going to move my things around so that they don't hit them. I think that's easier. So we've got 1, 2, 3. We can have our little sand mouse. I've got my little surfboard. And we can put our little, so let's put that there. I'll add some white details in a minute as well. I just hadn't got round to that yet. There you go. And then we can put our little mice all around this place. So we've got this guy is up here digging for sand, not sandballs, yeah, digging up sandballs. This guy's sort of standing in the middle of the wall trying not to get hit. This guy's up here actually digging in his sand pit. I just think he's so cute. And I'm actually going to put these sandballs sort of over next to the umbrella. And then I'll put the, yeah, that looks cool. Okay. That's all there. And then, like I said, I've got a bunch of accessories, but I'll put those all in afterwards. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick all of these down. Now, I did think about bringing in some other critters. I had the fox from Sledding By. He was getting ready to come for this party as well. I kind of thought the idea of maybe like sand dune sledding was sort of my idea there. Didn't quite work. Wasn't enough room, and I couldn't get him to work with the hats and stuff. Like, I could make the mice work. I obviously had to fussy cut all of these ones out because I had to play with their hats. But I'm just going to switch these two up. I'm just going to put him up here and then this guy digging in the sand down here. I just like the colours better where they were. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I was going to have like a sand dune sledding. It just didn't quite work, didn't quite fit, so I just left him out. Would have been cute with that, but it's a thought that I've still had, and I sort of, this is the extension of a Christmas card that I had planned to make. I just didn't get there, and because I knew I wanted to do this for this week in my planner, I kind of figured, well, I didn't want to do it twice. But I love the idea of being able to turn these into something that me as an Aussie can use, or me as someone from a hot climate. Like, just because I'm sitting, or because I'm having my summer somewhere, and my Christmas in summer, doesn't mean I shouldn't be able to use these cute images. I just have to be a little bit more creative. And I think that's fine. I love this little guy ducking. So yes, we're having a sand ball fight instead of a snowball fight. And I think that's fine. If I find the other snowball, I'll put that in as well. I'll just put this one over here for now. Okay. So we've got our beach scene. Times like this I wish I had a barbecue, because that would have looked perfect there. And then over this side we've got our very bright Santa. Our very bright summer Santa. With Rudolph up in the sky. And then we're going to have our ocean scene here at the bottom. Now you notice none of these have their white gel pen on them yet. I'll do that in a second. Kind of like leaving the I just had a thought about what that, I'll tell you the story of what's going on in that corner in a minute. I kind of like having the, oh, I completely forgot what I was going to say. Nah, gone. This is why I should, oh, I like having the dates uncovered and just having them there in the background. I can squeeze in anything I need to, it'll be fine. So I'm not worried. Might need more fish. It's the only thing I'm concerned about here. I am going to add a bottom. I wasn't going to, but I'm going to. So I'm just going to grab in just a piece of A5 paper. So this is cut to the exact same size as the page I'm using anyway. And I'm just going to sand it up the same way as I did the other side. Whoops. So just sand at the bottom, and I'm just going to do like a hill, like a mound, I guess is the right word. Part of me, the part of me that knows what the bottom of the ocean looks like, hates doing this because you don't see reds like that at the bottom of the ocean, I can guarantee you. And you don't see sand the same colour as the beach in the ocean. It's different. But we're using our imaginations. I'm imagining that I'm having a sandball fight, so I'm imagining that I'm also seeing this at the bottom of the ocean. And then I'm just going to cut it so that it's got like a hill in the middle. I can add more ink if I need to. I'm completely freehanding this, so, you know, we don't know what we're going to get. It's not quite what I wanted, but it'll do. I'm just putting a bit more there. And I'm just going to go ahead and splatter this the same way I did everything else. For that reason, I'm just going to move everything out of the way just for a sec, because I don't want to get splattered on everything else. Oh no, that mound's okay. I thought maybe it was a little too high, but I think it'll be fine. So I'm going a little hard with the glue there because I don't want this, because it is a bit curled because of the water and everything, because it really only was a basic piece of paper. I want to be able to get it down properly. So go a little bit hard on the glue. For some reason that's not quite right, but that's okay. I can cover that up with a piece of seagrass or something. So we've got our little tree in the middle. Got our jellyfish, got our little crab can sit down there. Now I use two different colours of green for the seagrasses, so that way there's a bit of differentiation, but it's also the same green that's been used over here. So it ties together because there's just little pops on each side that show up on each side. So kind of all works. It's not the best colour combo I've ever done, but it's pretty cool. I like it. So I'm going to start sticking these down, especially the grasses and stuff, because they're the fillers, I guess. So I find the best way to do these is to put glue on all of them, especially if you've got a mat or something that you can kind of get away with doing this. So putting glue on most of the little filler bits. And that just leaves the 4 critters. So let's start building this up. So the only thing I'm keeping in mind is I've got my big orange crab on one side, so I want to make sure that it's on the opposite side to the yellow bit of coral. And I like being able to tuck them in behind and kind of join it all up. I'm actually even going to slide in one of these behind the hill so it looks like it's coming up from behind. Okay, then my little crab's going to live, so he'll take up a little bit more room. Like I said, I've got a bunch of accessories still, so I've got some room to add in some presents and bits and pieces, so I don't need to use everything right now. Okay, and then we'll put Mr. Crab here in the middle. I like Mr. Crab. And then I'm just going to do the same thing here that I did with the other side. I'm just going to make sure that there's no one's covering up any of the days, because we might still need those. So we've got our singing little jellyfish. Whoops, I did it anyway. Alright. Now you might think I'm done. I'm close, but I'm not quite done. So I was going to go through and add in all of my white gel pen highlights. It was the only thing I didn't do because I didn't know where on the page they were all going to be. I just want to add in just a couple of details around as well. Like I really wanted that guy to have spots. I don't know why I did, but I just did. Then, like I said, I've got a bunch of accessories here, and what I didn't do was I didn't colour these in, and I didn't because I didn't know where they were going to go, and so I wanted to allow for these to be able to sort of go anywhere. So I've got some undersea kind of presents. Ah, I found it. I knew the other snowball was here somewhere. So make sure we've got one going in both directions. It's just so cute. So I've got like a little shell, which is not going to go on that side. Not going to go there either. Not going to use the shell because it doesn't fit with either of the colours that I've got. Oh, actually, hold on, yes it will. It'll fit down there. But then it's what colours do I make it and those sort of things. So I've got some presents and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to put a bucket, and I'm just looking for colours that maybe I don't have. So these are all the colours that I've used. There's teals, there's red. I'll leave them all down below so you guys can look them up if you want to. I'm going to add just some colours to these. I'm not going over the top. I'm not going to do too many double blends or anything. I'm really just going to do some simple colouring and just kind of put them places. And then I can stick them down. There's one thing missing that I'm going to have to recut because I can't find it, but that's alright. So I'm just going to add these in just as we go. So I'm just trimming this one off a little bit because I don't want it to sit quite as high. Now, if you want to have some stories, so stories behind why things look like the way they do. And this is again me using my imagination, which is what I do most of the time when I'm making these sort of lawn fawn scenes. So the reason that it's a little bit dark over on the left hand side is because there's a storm rolling in, which if you live in Australia and you have days, especially Christmas days on the beach, you know, you'll always be slightly keeping your eye out on the horizon to make sure that no storms are rolling in. And then if you have a really good look at Santa's face, he's actually a little sunburnt. And that's because he's been hanging around a little bit too long out in the sun. There's also 2 very small little stories about things floating in the ocean. So there's obviously this little clam. So Santa's dropped him and he's just sort of splash landed. The pineapple, because, you know, SpongeBob, so that makes complete sense. And then everything else sort of makes sense on its own. But I love it's kind of happened because it had to, because I stuffed up. But I like that little dark corner. It really does make sense. I didn't realise I was using a 10 the whole time. I thought I was using a 0.8. I'm just going to really quickly put in my New Year's Eve again too, because that's going to fit nicely, as will my New Year's Day. And then I just need to cut, because I've forgotten, some sunscreen from On the Beach and colour that in, because I need sunscreen on this beach. Giving that white gel pen just a couple of seconds to dry. But then once that's done, that's done. Now the only things that we're going to have to write in here is we are going scuba diving on Thursday, first dive in like 3 years, and I'm so excited. But other than that, there's really nothing going on, which is how I can get away with doing, you know, absolutely no planning. But this is my last little week of 2022. So cute, and I'm in love with it. I don't even care that it doesn't look like a planner week. I think it looks awesome. Like I said, you got to use your imagination just a little bit, because you can still tell that these are snowballs, not sandballs. But with a bit of imagination, you can see the hat, you can see the mouse ducking from the sand, you can see the guys building in the sand to make their sand castle. I actually really like it, and then I really like the underwater as well. And although it's 2 separate scenes, it does kind of still work together. You just have to, yeah, use a bit of imagination. So let me know what you think of this one. Do you like it? Do you not? Give it a thumbs up if you do, and make sure you subscribe for lots more weekly decorations from me. I do try and do a Lawn Fawn week every once in a while. So if you like them, please let me know. I know they're a lot more complicated, but I do enjoy doing them. There's a couple more on my channel as well, so I will link down to one down below. I'm going to reiterate again, Merry Christmas to you all. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Thank you so much for the year as a whole. And while we're speaking of years, it will be New Year by the time I do another weekly deco. So make sure that you are happy and safe and you have a good time, whatever you get up to. And you come back and we see you again for my next decoration. Next one's going to be my Uniquely Creative Advent Calendar reveal. So if you didn't catch everything that was happening every day, I've got one whole video where you can see everything all in one go. And then I've got my Christmas card retro before we hit weekly deco next Sunday again. Hope you guys have an awesome, awesome week, and I will catch you again in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!